So today we're talking about fractional parts. Coming out of the fractional parts lesson for next time, we'll do, I believe it's a 6-point quiz. It's either 6 or 7 points. I'll look at that in a second. So, but the first question will ask you, what are fractional parts for? And the answer that I'm hunting is that they measure parts of a whole. So you have some kind of a whole thing that you've cut it up into little parts, and if you're trying to measure what part of that whole thing you got, that's what fractional parts are for. That's what fractions are for. Like a cake or a pie or something. It's this big thing, you cut it up, everybody gets some. If you're measuring what part of it you got, part of some whole thing, that's fractions in a nutshell. Does anybody remember what the top of a fraction is called from other years in your past? You've dropped this word, some of you have dropped these fraction words on the quizzes we did with add-ends and sum and all that. Sometimes I've seen these words for fractions get dropped in. Anybody remember either the top of a fraction or the bottom of a fraction, what it's called?
Numerator?
There is a numerator. Do you remember which one that is?
I think it's the top.
That is the top one. Can you spell numerator? That's the bigger word there. Give it a shot or no? Does anybody think they can spell numerator?
Is it N-U-M-E-R?
Keep talking.
A-T-O-R.
That is correct. N-U-M-E-R-A-T-O-R. If you're not a great speller, study that a little bit. I'll give you half points for spelling on most of the quizzes we do this year. So if you get something close to numerator, I'd give you half a point on that answer. If you want the whole point, you've got to spell that right. You got the other one?
The denominator.
It is called the denominator. Do you want to give that a spelling shot or not feeling it? No. Anybody feeling it?
D-E-M-I-N-A-T-E-O-R. Not E.
Okay.
O-R.
Got a couple letters off there. The end was pretty good. The beginning went off. You skipped one syllable in there. That was pretty good. He had a denominator.
Oh, yeah.
You had a demonator. Because you switched. I was going to say something about it if it didn't happen. There's a lot of times people switch the M and the N. So instead of a denom, they've got a demon going. You don't want to get the demons going. Let's break it down syllable by syllable. So D is, let's go back to you. You were closest.
Right.
D is
The first one, so it's
E. And then we're going to go nom. Denom in ater. So denom, nom,
N-O-M.
N-O-M. Instead of a demon, we're going to go a denom in. In. To spell in, you need I, I-N, A, tor. So, D, nom, in, A, tor, denominator. Num, a, tor, break it down syllable by syllable to help you spell. If spelling's not your thing, try to do just a syllable at a time. Num, a, tor, denominator. The quiz will ask you, what's the top called, and what does it do? What does it measure? Something like that. It'll ask you, what is the bottom called, denominator, and what does it measure? Can anybody explain what the numerator measures, or what the denominator measures? What are they? What is their function, and what they do for the fraction?
Isn't the denominator like how many pieces were in the pie?
Okay, so
Or like whatever it is?
I think so. I'm going to call it, the denominator is the parts in all. So if I wanted to show you 1/4 of something, I could draw you a picture. I'd cut it up somehow like that to show you there's 4 total parts. The 4 gives you the parts that there are grand total.
And then is the numerator like what is like left of the pie, or like what is taken away?
something like that. I'm gonna call that for us the parts counter. I think that's what you mean. It's just a short answer way to recap that. So if I wanted to show you 1/4, how would I show you that 1 was the numerator and 1 got counted?
You'd shade it in.
I'd probably shade it in. If a different person went like this, and they went and drew a rectangle, and they went like that, is that a good or bad picture of a 4th? That's bad. Why is that a bad picture of a 4th? It's good in a way, because I made 4 parts, I shaded in 1, but why is that bad news?
Because it's not even.
It's not even, it's not the same size. You do this at home with your cake and everybody's happy. You do this at home with your cake and you get this piece and your brother gets this piece, there's gonna be fights. Like, there's gonna be fights over that. That's not fair, Mom! You know, we wanna make sure we go fair on this. If you have to draw some pictures, I would try not to draw circle pictures. I think that's hard. Like if I asked you to try to do a 1/3, then you try to go like circle picture. A lot of people then do something like this. Well, that isn't really thirds. That's just not fair. So the quiz next time when we do it, it'll have I'll say a fraction and you draw a picture. I would steer more toward like rectangles or something. If I wanted to show a 1/3, that's probably pretty good. Those are about the same size. You know, shade in one of them for 1/3. If you draw your drawing and then you realize you messed it up, just write a little note like, my bad, I meant for this to be the same size. Excuse my drawing. You don't have to write that long of a note, but something to that effect to just say like, I know those are supposed to be the same size. Because if I asked you for 3/5 and you go like that and color in 3 of them, that's not fair. You know, you'd have to write me a note there to get that point. Like, those are supposed to be the same size. I can't draw. The bottom gives you parts and all. The top tells you the parts that's counted. If I asked you to do half of 16, you can probably just have that answer appear to you like from heaven in your brain without really knowing where it even came from. Half of 16 would be 8. If I asked you to do a 1/3, chalk is fading. If I want to do a 1/3 of 432, somebody's probably got to give you a math strategy to do that. So can anybody figure out, the same strategy would have worked here, but you maybe didn't need it. A 1/3 of 432? What math kind of problem could you do to figure out a 1/3 of 432? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide are your 4 basic things that we know about.
Divide.
It is a divide. How would you be able to divide to figure that out? Who's going where?
The 432 goes on the inside,
432 would go in,
and then the 1/3 goes on the outside.
okay, but we can't really stick a fraction there. We're not gonna know what to do with that.
3.
Just the 3. So we can put the bottom out of the box and then put the big number in the box and then just go at it. 3 into 4 goes
1.
once, gets me 3, drops me 1, drops me 3, go again.
4.
4 gets me who?
2. 12.
12, remainder temporary is
1.
1, drop the 2, 3 into that 12.
4.
4, that's a way we could do that. So the next quiz up, it'll have one problem on it like that. It'll have one drawing on it where the bottom tells you how many parts in all, the top tells you what the shade. And you could even do separate things. Like, let's say I want to do 1/3. If you go like this and shade in one of those, that works. If you make a bad drawing, just say, my bad, those are supposed to be the same size. You know, you could draw 3 of really anything and just color one of them in. Triangles, squares, rectangles, strawberries. I don't care. If you're an artist, you know, draw 3 of the same thing and like color one of them in. It doesn't matter what you draw. But the bottom tells you how many you need. The top tells you how many you should color in something. You'll get 4 points off of this, saying the numerator and what it meant, parts counted, saying the denominator and what it meant, parts and all. And then you get a point for saying fractional parts, measure parts of a whole. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 point quiz. The word of the day, can anybody tell me which one word would be the word of the day if this were Sesame Street and we looked at the board? Who is the one most dominant word of the day?
Is it denominator?
It's not.
It's fraction.
It's not. It'll be the word of the day also when you take your quiz and you're writing these answers down.
Parts.
Why is parts the word of the day?
It's like, there's a lot of.
There's a lot of them. I wrote it a lot of times.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I type will say, what are fractional parts? And one of your answers will say that it's parts of a whole. When you say numerator, you'll say it's the parts counted. When you talk about the denominator, it's the parts in all. Parts is up here a lot of times. When you take a quiz, you want to write the word parts a lot of times. It's part of a lot of our answers, no pun intended. So parts, 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 parts. When we take the quiz, as you write it, you should be writing parts, 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 parts a good bit. So again, 7-pointer, your answers that you want to be ready to produce. Measure parts of a whole, numerator, parts counted, denominator, parts in all. Be ready to draw a nice picture. Be ready to do a division problem to get something figured out. So we go 7 on that. The other quiz we'll do next is the one I advertised we were going to do it yesterday and we ran out of time. So we're going to run out of time today as well. We were going to do the add-in, sum, quotient, product one more time was our game plan, and I never have done that yet. So that's going to get pushed to next time. So we'll go, if you have your assignment sheets handy, we'll go double quiz next time. If you're watching the video, this won't happen like every year the same way. But we're looking to go, for sure, 7-point quiz on this fraction. For this particular year that we've had weird scrambles, we look to go add in sum, etc. quiz one more time. Homework that is coming off of this world is page 13. Page 13, we'll do the letters. 13 has some letters that go A to F, and it has the 1 to 25 that there always is. So 13, A to F, 1 to 25, and that's pretty much a wrap on our day. So